Inspiring Philosophy, who I'm a huge fan of. So I'm
It's
honored that
wild.
that Inspiring Philosophy is here. Thank you for the super chat. And he says, "What is going on in the Muslim world? Is there really a rise in converts to Christianity? Muslim apologists are claiming the opposite, and Islam is going to soon take over Europe. What are your thoughts?" I'm guessing that's aimed at you. I don't think I have a lot of expertise in that.
I'm gonna say one thing. Muslim apologists are full of crap, so don't believe anything they're saying. But besides that, there is I don't know what's going on either. And as a convert, even the amount of people I meet who are ex-Muslims and are Christians, whether they be Protestant, Catholic, or Orthodox, is kind of astounding. Like, and there was a study done by this that in the 1980s, someone made a study and he's like, I found 10 Muslims who converted to Christianity. And that was shocking back then. But now there's like numbers of people like in hiding all across the world who are ex Muslim Christians. And two things. I think the dreams and visions things we can't stop talking about because almost, I would say one and two, at least one and two come up to me or like talk to me in secret and say like I had this dream about Jesus and it led me to this, or like an angel told me to do this and it led me to read the Bible. And the other one, I think the internet is killing Islam. The internet is like the best way to get rid of Islam because no one can lie to you anymore. You can just look up the hadith. You can just read it. Like right now, go Google hadith.com and you'll find it. Like no one's like guarding it anymore from anyone. So those two things are causing a huge like exodus from Islam. And Muslims they're in kind of like a denial stage. Like especially the apologists where they're just like how can we safeguard this? So they'll find like 10 converts to Islam and like boost their message. And there are people who convert to Islam, but and I don't say this like out of like hate or I say it out of love. They're usually people who are very much like misinformed about the faith, like significantly. And I'm actually talking to a few people who are struggling, like just personally, who are struggling between the both faith. And what they hear from the Dawa people, Dawa just mean like the evangelists in the Muslim world, are half truths or lies about the faith. For example, I'm trying to think of a good example. For example, like so Muhammad, when he took control of Arabia, he made it illegal to bury infant females. Let me explain the context to this. In the time period, if someone before Muhammad came, like a few years, it became common practice that if you had a child, if it wasn't a boy, a lot of people would bury the female child alive because it was kind of like considered useless almost to have a child who's a female. And kudos to Muhammad. He banned it. He did. He's like, this is not right. But he also, at the same time, accepted that these people who he allowed to live in the society to become slaves for people to be used over and over. So it wasn't like he banned it and then gave them rights. Like he now they're alive, but now they're being tortured the rest of their lives. Like that's not. It's just so it's like so they're misinformed. So I'll hear people say, like, "Well, he banned this, so he's a good moral like individual," and he said like feed the orphans. I'm like, that's correct. But why did he say that? He said that to have more people in his army, to have people appreciate him more, in order they can follow him into war. Like there's things that like they're all half truths, and that's what the Dawa script is basically becoming. And people are realizing it, and they're just googling it, and it's falling apart like left, right, and center. But to answer the question, yes, the Muslim world is having a hemorrhage from Islam to Christianity. Iran alone, Iran, the amount of converts from Iran is insane. Like they're closing down mosques in Iran because people are not going to them anymore.
Wow.
There's churches in Canada where like they didn't exist before, where they're all fully Persian. Like they only do services in Persian and everything because the Persian Muslim community all slowly became Christian and now they're joining a church. So this is like a movement that's happening, and but it's very hush hush still because people are not like they're afraid to talk about it because they have relatives back in the Middle East. They have relatives here who are under threat. Their lives can be under threat. And honestly, that's actually kind of why I do this because someone has to do it. Someone has to speak up and be like, "This is happening," and there's no hiding from it. And I praise God that nothing's happened to me so far, and I hopefully nothing will happen to me. But I don't think anything's gonna stop me from saying this stuff because it's true.
I need to tell you about something very exciting, which is that we now have our own website. Yes. So if you go to cafe.sipswithsarah.com, you can go there, become a member, and you will get many exciting perks. For example, you'll get a regular email from me, and I'll be writing like a newsletter or a blog. And this is content that only you will receive, nobody else will see it, which is pretty special. You'll also get early access to videos. You'll get access to monthly video chats with me and a special guest, and probably a lot of other cool stuff that I'm forgetting to mention here. So go check it out. All right, get back to the video. So you were saying that one out of two people who you've talked to, so roughly 50% of people you've talked to have converted from Islam to Christianity, did so because of a vision they had or a dream they had about Jesus.
Hmm. Yes.
And this is obviously something we've been hearing about a lot. Are you hearing a lot of commonalities between these stories? Like, is Jesus saying the same thing to each of these people, or is there some similarity between these dreams or visions?
The similarity, I think it depends. So, for example, in Jordan, they actually a bunch of American missionaries did this thing where they posted ads in Jordan, and the ad just said in Arabic that if you saw someone in white in your dream, call this number. And they got like an influx of
Hmm.
numbers, like people calling them saying, "Yeah, I saw a man who said his name is Jesus wearing white." Like
Wow.
they got like overnight, they got like 500 people calling them, and they're like, "Yeah, like how'd you know about this?" So like at least in that area, they like there was very similar dreams. Um, in other places, they'll be like Jesus will tell them directly, like, go to this individual. He is the Christian imam, like because he'll use like Muslim phrasing almost, and he'll tell you who I am, and then he'll go there, and then this preacher, our priest, will be like, "Yeah, I also had a dream that Jesus said I'd meet someone today at this hour," and then they meet and they start talking, and there's
Wow.
a book actually. It's called I think it's actually called Dreams and Visions, and I wrote a little bit in my thesis about it. I never finished my thesis, but I wrote off of it a little bit, like use it as a source. But basically, he takes 200 stories of people in the Middle East and makes them anonymous and shows how often this is happening. And one story really stuck out to me, and it actually happened in Egypt, where 12 people were all led to the same Christian person's apartment by dreams, the same dream, saying go to this person's apartment.
That's
Until today,
incredible.
that place is still going. That place is like a Bible study secret in a secret place in Egypt.
That's amazing, dude. And
Yeah, like it's happening
just
all over the Muslim world.
like, how cool is God where there's these whole countries, whole parts of the world where Christianity is illegal and nobody can actually access information about it. At least if they do, it has to be very secret. And God
Hmm.
is saying, okay, well, since I can't, access these people through maybe the internet or through other missionaries, although there are missionaries in those parts of the world, which we'll talk about. I'm going to just give you a dream. I'm going to come to you directly in a vision and tell you what is real and what is not true. That is just incredible.
Hmm.
That blows my mind.
And
Praise God.
I'm gonna guarantee you right now, every Muslim that sees this is gonna be like he's lying. But
Yeah,
I'm
of
telling
course.
you, look up the book Dreams and Visions. I forget the man's name. Just look up on YouTube people's testimonies of dreams and visions of Jesus. Like I there was this one friar. Is it? I think his channel's called Call to More. I think that's what it is. He's a Franciscan friar in England, and he lives in a predominantly Muslim neighborhood there. And he said, as a test, I just went around asking the Pakistani Muslim community, "Have you had a dream of Jesus?" And he said something around the same amount of people, around 50% of them said yes.
Wow.
And like you can go look up that video. I didn't make that up. It's like call to more. Like I just want to prove my point. Like that this is not like a made up story because it's happened to
Yeah.
me. It's happened to Muslims I've known personally in my life, who I've seen go from Islam to Christianity to being baptized. I've heard the stories from across the world, from like the U.S. and Canada all the way to Malaysia to Russia to like Oman, like everywhere in the world that's happening. And I think it's because the gig is up for Islam. Like it's at this
Yeah,
point where for a long period of time, God, like we couldn't reach them, and we still can't really reach a lot of people in the Muslim world. And because we can't, God is like, I'm gonna do it myself. So yeah,
man, God is so good.
Amen.
Like the circumstance of, obviously, like I said, nobody really being able to reach them, like you just said also. So God's going to go to them directly, even in our own stupidity and weakness. God deals with us where we're at, and he just like, comes to our level, comes to us as we are, and doesn't abandon us. So I'm really grateful that he hasn't abandoned the Muslims in those parts of the world where they can't learn about him any other way. Man,
Hmm.
I
It's
don't even know where to
crazy.
go from that.
I don't know either, man. Like it's like it sounds like insane when I say it out loud. Like I don't know, and I try to explain like to my parents about it too, and then I'll show them people or tell them people that we know that like, hey, this guy also had this dream, like your son. Like maybe be
Yeah.
skeptical of your skepticism. Maybe like you know what I mean. Like if everyone in the room is having the same dream and they don't know each other till like yesterday, maybe there's something going on. Like I don't want to. I'm a pretty doubtful person. Like I'm a doubting Thomas by nature, but even for me, that's kind of wild.